Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar and the 4th of Nisan, 5785 in the Hebrew calendar. Stay tuned for the end of the show when we have a Torah thought by Rabbi Yossi Madvig of Oswego, New York. Now, let's get to the news. The Qatargate story, as it is being coined here in Israel, continues to develop. Qatargate refers to allegations that close aides to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu received improper payments from Qatari sources, potentially influencing national security decisions, including hostage negotiations with Hamas. Police reveal that Eli Feldstein and Yonatan Orik, two of the aides in question, presented contradictory stories when they were recently interviewed. Feldstein and Orik's detention was extended for a few additional days as well. The police have requested an opinion from the Shin Bet about whether there was a reasonable suspicion that Orik and Feldstein harmed Israel's national security. The police revealed that some of the evidence from a case concerning leaks of the confidential material to the news outlet Bild last year, which Feldstein and Orik are also suspects in, is also related to the Qatargate case. Another big news story that was pretty shocking, especially for me as an employee at the Jerusalem Post, is that Israel's Attorney General revealed as well that Jerusalem Post editor-in-chief Zvika Klein became a suspect in the case. The accusations suggest he was part of the mechanism used to receive favors from Qatar alongside the Prime Minister's advisors. The statement from Klein's legal team says he was suspected of being part of the system of receiving benefits from Qatar in exchange for advancing its interests, but that in fact, Klein never received any benefit or anything else from Qatar or from anyone acting on its behalf. The statement from his team went on to say, quote, his visit to the country was part of his journalistic work alone, and it is for this alone that Klein upheld journalistic ethics throughout his coverage of Qatar in the newspaper, including the article that he published and the opinion pieces that followed that, some of which took a critical stance on his article, as is customary at a newspaper that values a diversity of opinions. 3 more journalists were questioned Wednesday concerning the case, including journalists from Israel's prominent Channel 12 News. The 3 provided testimony but are not suspects in the case at this point. The 3 were also not asked to reveal their sources and were instead asked about why and how they published and worded certain reports about Qatar in a certain way. On Wednesday night, Prime Minister Netanyahu published a new video insisting that Orik was not exposed to any intelligence or classified material and accused outgoing Shin Bet head Ronen Bar of receiving an invitation to the World Cup from Qatar, including an expensive box at the games. The Shin Bet responded that Bar, the head of the Mossad, the head of the Military Intelligence Directorate, and other senior officials visited Qatar during the World Cup with the express approval of Netanyahu in order to handle security preparations for Israelis who were spectators at the games. Working meetings were held with local officials during the World Cup, some of which took place at the stadium at the request of the hosts. Netanyahu added in his video that Qatar is a complex country, not a simple country, but that it is not an enemy country. If you have not been around for the last year and a half and are just waking up today, I'll tell you this. Qatar is one of the main players in hostage negotiations, as they have strong connections to Hamas leadership. Former U.S. President Donald Trump announced sweeping global tariffs on Wednesday, including a 17% import duty on Israeli goods, despite Israel having just eliminated all tariffs on American imports. The decision has sparked concern in Israel's Knesset, with Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich convening an emergency meeting and Israeli manufacturers warning that the move could threaten local jobs and trade relations. Trump claimed the tariffs are necessary to restore fairness and wealth to the United States, accusing allies and rivals alike of exploiting American markets for decades. The Manufacturers Association of Israel called the tariffs a, quote, worrying step and pledged to work with government officials to reverse them, while also exploring alternative markets. Critics say that new policy could raise prices for U.S. consumers and strain diplomatic and economic ties between the two nations. While Israel exported more than $22 billion in goods to the U.S. last year, it remains unclear how these new tariffs will impact services or whether Trump will reconsider in response to Israel's tariff cancellations. Prime Minister Netanyahu has withdrawn his appointment of former Navy Commander Vice Admiral Eli Sharvit as head of the Shin Bet just one day after announcing he was in. Netanyahu thanked Sharvit for his readiness to take the role, but said he would now consider other candidates. The decision followed backlash from both political allies and critics, including concerns over Sharvit's lack of experience within the Shin Bet and accusations of political motivations behind his selection. Sharvit showed confidence in his ability to lead during a challenging time, citing his long military service and operational leadership. The move comes amid Netanyahu's ongoing attempts to replace current Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar, whose agency is investigating Netanyahu aides over the Qatargate scandal. Any new appointment is currently on hold pending a high court hearing on the matter that's scheduled for April 8th. The IDF confirms that U.S. CENTCOM Commander General Michael Eric Kurilla arrived in Israel on Wednesday as the official guest of IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, newly appointed. According to the IDF, this meeting represents a further strengthening of the strategic and close relationship between the IDF and the U.S. military. The IDF in Shin Bet is uncovering a bomb-making hideout in a lab in the Palestinian city of Tulkarm in the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, however you call it, that had landmines, explosives, explosive-making materials, and a welding machine inside of it. The IDF and Shin Bet also took 12 wanted individuals from other West Bank cities into custody over a 24-hour period, as well as 15 wanted individuals across the West Bank as a whole. Multiple weapons were confiscated during this raid. All arrested individuals and confiscated weapons were transferred to the Shin Bet and Judea and Samaria District Police for further evaluation. This comes as part of the IDF's ongoing efforts to decrease terror infrastructure and activity in the West Bank. The family of Bar Cooperstein are commemorating his 23rd birthday at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv and encouraging the public to join in. Bar's friend Barak Oz shared on Instagram a few days ago, "My dear brother, how I miss you. I can't believe this is the second birthday we're probably not going to celebrate together. We will never stop praying and doing everything we can to bring you home. I hope a miracle happens and we still celebrate together." Now, this is Bar Cooperstein's second birthday in Hamas captivity. He still remains there. Tal Cooperstein, Bar's father, is disabled after a series of accidents left him unable to walk and talk. Since Bar's abduction, his father has worked with a speech therapist in order to regain those abilities. Bar was taken to Gaza from the Nova Festival, where he worked as a security guard. During the attack, he stayed behind to assist police and medical teams and provide assistance, inheriting those skills from his father's work as a United Hatzalah volunteer. Bar had also taken on most of the family's financial responsibilities and worked various jobs since high school, while also volunteering for Yedidim, which is a mentoring program for children who are struggling. We here at the Israel Daily News hope Bar comes home soon in good health. I received a very fun box from one of our top listeners and supporters today ahead of Passover. It was purchased from Hasod, the gifting company we work with. Passover in the spring season is upon us, and Hasod has boxes of locally produced gifts ready to be shipped around the world. Consider ordering from the new Taste of Freedom collection. I have here some of the items. I am in love with the items from today. You can send boxes to friends and family, knowing that 18% of your purchase will go to fund the Israel Daily News. The link for the Hasod boxes are in the show notes. Here's a few beautiful things from the spring box. I absolutely love this scarf. I got chocolate-covered gluten-free matzah because I'm gluten-free. Tel Aviv postcards. I have tons of candles, which are amazing, and something very special for Passover. The afikomen holder, which is locally produced, embroidered, and it is absolutely amazing. I love getting boxes from Hasod, and you will too. I really encourage you to get one or to send one to a family member. Again, the link is in the show notes. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us with contributions by going over to our new website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly donation using the Patreon link. There's also options for one-time donations. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. During a family hike near Beit Shemesh, 3.5-year-old Ziv Nitzan made an epic discovery, a 3,800-year-old Canaanite scarab amulet. She picked it out of a pile of stones, wiped off the dirt, and instantly became Israel's tiniest archaeologist. Experts say the scarab, shaped like a sacred Egyptian dung beetle, symbolized new life and was used as an ancient seal or a good luck charm. Ziv's rare find will now star in a special Passover exhibit alongside ancient treasures at the National Campus for the Archaeology of Israel. Her good citizenship earned her a certificate, a meet and greet with real archaeologists, and a place in history, proving that even preschoolers can help unlock secrets of our past. And now for a Torah thought by Rabbi Yossi Madvig of Oswego, New York.
This week's Torah portion is called Vayikra, and it means "and he called," as in the opening of the verse, that he called through Moses. And the commentaries explain that every time God communicated with Moses, whether he was using the expression of Vayadaber and he spoke, or Vayomer and he said, or Vayitzav and he commanded, it's always preceded by God calling to Moses by name. Because Kriya, calling out, is an expression of God's affection towards Moses. In other words, it's teaching us here that when God calls out to Moses, he's not just doing so to get his attention, but it's an expression of his love and affection. So the point here is that before God tells words of Torah to Moses, he first expresses his affection for him. And this teaches us that God's affection for Moses and for each one of us is even deeper and rooted in God's essence, even more so than the Torah itself, because it precedes the teaching of the Torah. Now, this seems to be a little bit at odds with the end of the Torah portion. If you jump to the end of the Torah portion, it speaks about the sin of dishonesty. Now, if the message of Vayikra is closeness and affection, the affection that God feels for each one of us, so why do we end off the Torah portion, this big crescendo, discussing a sin, which is something that distances us from God? So the truth, however, is that it's not so much that it's speaking about the sin itself, but the teshuvah, the repentance, and the returning to God after the sin is committed. When someone transgresses the mitzvah of the Torah and then decides to return to God, what we're witnessing is the deep connection that a person has with God, even if the somewhat external connection of Torah has been cut. It's that deeper and more essential connection that's motivating him to return. So really, this is the perfect ending for a Torah portion which represents God's unconditional love for each one of us, because it's because of that inherent connection, that essential connection that we have to God, that we're able to return and turn towards God and strengthen that relationship when the more superficial relationship that we have with God through the Torah has become temporarily interrupted. I hope to have a Far Torah for you next week in honor of Passover, but just in case I don't, I wish all of you a happy, healthy, sweet Passover. As we say, a kosher and freilich and Pesach. As we say in Yiddish, you should have a kosher and a happy Passover. Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Well, that is it for today's show. Today is April 3rd. That's a Thursday, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 14 degrees Celsius and a high of 23 degrees. That's 58 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 73 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week. And of course, with a personal note from me at the top, you can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. Thank you to our writer, Perry Schwartz, Lori for social media, as well as Ishai Shapir in New York, Ari Gottesman, Raphael Wind, and Asher Parks for our technical developments and video production. I'll send you off today with a song called Lehitrasek by Ya'ara Sholian. This is a new song from her new album called Zohar. I love everything that she releases, so I'm so excited to work our way through her new musical album, which she sent to me this week. Enjoy this new song and have a great and productive day and an excellent weekend. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
כשזה הופך ליותר מדי כמו חץ ישר אל תוך הלב וכל השדים רוקדים מעליי נוגעים לי בכל מה שכואב אני מדברת לעצמי מוציאה את כל מה שיושב אז כלום לא תקוע אנחנו מים זזים עם רוח שנושב אם אשחרר הכל אפני מקום לאהבה לגדול אין טעויות זמן לעשות להתרסק על החומות אני השמש והירח אני גם כל הכוכבים כל מה שאמרתי מה ששמרתי אני ממש כל הדברים אני הנצח וגם הסוף תמיד מתחילה מחדש ואין חרטות אין עוד פעמים כל רגע מקודש אם אשחרר הכל אפנה מקום לאהבה לגדול אין טעויות זמן לעשות להתרסק על החומות אין טעויות זמן